a suit and tie and get your hair cut way up high. Get yourself a lawyer, son. You're gonna need a real good one.
Your real good lawyer is here in the studio with you. Mr. David Whiting, good morning.
Good morning, Virginia.
How are you travelling? It's cold out there, I hear.
It is cold out there. I go for a walk. We go 2 or 3K walk before I get on the tram to come to work in the morning.
Nice.
Yes, that's fresh and invigorating.
Fresh.
Fewer people out walking.
There's that word. Did you have any homework from last week?
We had Cedric from Watsonia rang. Cedric was concerned about a identity theft as a result of a phishing attack.
Oh, yes.
And what he was interested in was he was having some difficulty persuading Vic Roads to give him a new driver's licence number. Which must say it wasn't something that I knew anything about, but I had the interest of visiting a website called cyber.gov.au, which I've never been to before, but we'll spend a bit of time looking at cyber issues for the individuals and for businesses. But the end result is that nobody seems keen on changing any of your identity documents while there is a risk of identity theft. Of a scam that follows an identity theft. So nobody wants to change it unless there's damage, but if there is, there's no difficulty, and Vic Roads will accept a report from the Australian Cyber Security Centre, who you can get at cyber.gov.au in lieu of a police report. But I think there needs to be actual misuse before they'll do anything.
Right. So what's Cedric got to do now then?
Well, Cedric either, if he hasn't gone to the police, he needs to make a report to the cyber centre.
Yep.
And then in the event that there is a misuse of his identity documents, then they'll change them.
Right, okay.
Yep.
But he'll need that report to move it along.
Yes, he will.
Okay.
Yep.
Let's turn to you, because a number of people need some help this morning, and here we are. 1300 222 774 is the number. Why don't we start off with a little fencing dispute? You know how I like them.
One for so long.
Exactly.
Yep.
Morning, Peter. Go ahead.
Oh, good morning, David and Virginia. David, I own a house in St Kilda, a small weatherboard house, single-fronted, that I've owned for about 6 years, and the neighbour at the back who bought his property backs onto mine. We share a back dividing fence. Bought it 2 years ago. He says that supposedly I've encroached on his property to the tune of about half a metre or 70 centimetres, and he wants to knock the fence down to reposition it on what he claims to be the true title boundary.
He will presumably have a survey plan that justifies the boundary.
That's right, yes.
Have you measured your side boundary, and do you at least agree with him in theory?
Yes, in theory I do, but I'm told by all the neighbours that it's been there for
since time immemorial, all right?
Yes.
Peter, what I advise you to do is see if you can get in contact with the person you bought from.
Yes.
Because you've got 6 years of adverse possession, and what you need is 15. So you need to go and buy the adverse possession rights of your predecessors in title till you get to a total of 15 years or better, and then you make an application for adverse possession of that strip of land.
Is he meant to prove that it hasn't been there for 15 years, or do I have to prove that it has been there for more than 15 years?
It's the adverse possession. You need to prove that his right to recover the land has been extinguished.
Right. How do I get aerial photographs of the area?
No, I'm saying you buy the adverse possession rights. It is possible to buy aerial photographs.
Right.
There was a state government department that used to keep the aerial photographs, but I think they've been sold.
Right.
So it was called Vic Image, but you might Google and find out who's got the images. You might be able to buy them, but that doesn't mean you own the adverse possession rights. You've only acquired the right to occupy that land 6 years ago. So you need another 9 years. Go and talk to the people you bought from, and probably the people they bought from, till you get your 15 years.
Good luck, Peter. Wish you all the best with that. Anne in Terang. Go ahead, Anne.
My word, life's getting complicated.
It is.
Look, I went into the bank the other day because the interest rates were getting interesting, and I had this little bit of money invested, and I said, well, I want to take it out of there and then I'll reinvest it at a better price. She said, oh, well, you can't do that if you take it out, we hold it for a month, no interest. They've got it, they're using it, and then I can reinvest it. How can they do that? It's my money.
It's because you've already got the money on a term deposit. You reached an agreement with the bank that you would leave X dollars with them for a period of time, and they promised you an interest rate.
Which is minimal.
Oh, I invested some money for a client on a 30-day term deposit, got 0.75% from my bank, and I thought that was lousy. So and the answer is there were also some years ago some government regulations that were introduced to stabilise money flows, and they actually require you to give 30 days to redeem a term deposit early,
right,
and your interest rate will drop as well. So you're actually better off, not by much, but you're better off letting your current term deposit run its term and then investing, because there has been almost no change in interest rates at the bank level since the Reserve Bank changed their rate.
Okay.
That's it. 30. You have to wait 30. It's a government regulation, Anne, and absent an emergency, it's 30 days.
So we'll have to leave you with that one, Anne. Sorry about that. Jeff in Montrose, I think you want some right of access to your land. What's going on?
Hello.
Hello, Jeff. You're on air. Go ahead.
Oh, thank you. Great show. Love it.
Thank you.
Look, I've got another land property question. I live on a hectare on the side of Mount Dandenong. At the rear of my property, I have a right of carriageway through my neighbour's property to the street behind.
Yes.
I'm just wondering, it's on both of our titles, but I'm just wondering what my rights are with that.
There may be some wording used on the document that created the right-of-way. If it just says that it's a right of carriageway, then the terms of the right of carriageway you can get from the Property Law Act. The Property Law Act says if there's a carriageway easement, that these are the words that are imported into the document. Essentially, it allows you to cross or recross with or without carriages and with or without servants and agents. So that sounds beautiful wording. But you wouldn't, for example, have the right to put some gravel down to make it better to drive on. And it would allow you to break through fences. I'm not suggesting that you do, but you might put in a gate or something.
We have an agreement about a gate.
Then you have the right to cross and recross if you want to make any improvements to the property. So if I have an easement over your property, if we live next door to each other and I had an easement over your property, I would have the right to continue to use that easement 24 hours a day.
What, just go walking through my backyard?
Yes.
What if I don't want you to?
Then you could buy the right of carriageway back from me.
What are you going to charge me for
that? A fortune. You can't afford it, Virginia.
What about a style?
So that's if they wanted to use it, they'd have to buy it back. Is that
no? If they wanted to exclude your rights of access, they currently own the land. You simply have the right to use it to access your property. Even if you've got another way of accessing it, you have the right to cross. And you also have the right to use vehicles. So while the style is an interesting concept, it's a no-no, unless we both agree.
To take a vehicle through it is quite difficult without a little bit of modification to the ground.
You can't modify it. It is as is. Yes.
As
right.
is?
No, that's fine.
Is there any amount of money, Jeff, that you could be offered if they wanted to buy that back and exclude you?
I wouldn't sell it because it's an incredible asset for me because it gives me access to the state forest behind.
Okay.
Understood.
Right. Well, then that's
so
the way
you've got
that
the
goes.
right to take your motorbike across when you head off to the state forest. Whoops, let's not do that. Yep.
Let's not do that. I did like the idea of a style, though. Adrian in Ashburton, what's the issue? Good morning.
Good morning, and thank you for your show. I really like it. My problem is with Qantas, and we were booked to have a trip in Queensland last year, and it had to be cancelled because of COVID. And so the flight money was put into a travel bank. And then in November, I decided to rebook our Queensland holiday, and I rebooked this the flight from Brisbane to Charleville, But unfortunately, when I did it, I made a mistake in the reference number, and I contacted the bank and Qantas, and I thought it was fixed up, but 3 weeks later I found the money had been put back into the bank. So I knew that I had to ring Qantas to try and work out how to pay it again.
Yes.
So I was sitting on the phone for 4.5 hours, and during that time I just thought I'd see what the price had gone up, because in the week before, the week I'd been booking, it had doubled in price.
Yes.
So when I went to check it out, it said that not only did the flight not exist, but the destination didn't exist. So when I got through to the lady, I told her this, and she said, she didn't believe me, but anyhow, she told me, well, just pay for it anyway, and if it doesn't exist, then you'll get your money back.
There
have
been a few reports like that I've read recently, Adrian, that what happens is they open a flight and they've been doing this on some international routes. They announce they're going to be flying to X or Y or Z. They begin to take bookings. They then decide that for one reason or another they're going to push back the date. Yep. They stop taking bookings for the flight, but they don't actually cancel the flight. Mm. And so what it means is they've got the ability to use your money for a significantly longer period because it's still a flight number.
No, this isn't like that. I paid for it, they issued the ticket, and 2 days later, in the news, I read that the contract had been cancelled and it was now given to Rex. So I just got this ticket. So then...
what you'll find, Adrian, is they haven't actually cancelled the flight in their system. They're just not taking bookings for it.
No, that's not true. They wrote to me 3 weeks later and they said it had been cancelled and that I needed, and I didn't need to do anything. Then 2 days later, I got an email saying I needed to send an email to them, an unsecured email, with my bank details and it needed to be for the bank details for the original Travel Bank one, which was in our joint account, and my own one. So I thought, I can't do that. So I emailed them because they gave me, I just emailed.
So where are we at, Adrian? What are we trying to do?
What are we up to, Adrian?
What we're trying to do is eventually, like 3 weeks ago after a lot of calls, they paid back the original Travel Bank one, but they still haven't paid back the extra that I had to pay, $386 extra.
Did you pay by a credit card, did you, Adrian?
No, I paid through the bank.
Okay.
When I rang them up about this is 3 weeks ago, the lady told me, oh, well, it's all been paid out. The thing's closed. It's all been paid out. And I have to fill in, the only way she could do anything, or she couldn't do anything, I had to fill in a customer care form and I would hear back within 1 to 2 weeks.
Adrian, I would be suggesting that if you don't get the response that you want, you're stuck with a VCAT application. You might also talk to the ACCC and make a complaint about the refund policies at Qantas.
We'll have to leave it there, Adrian. It does sound complicated and I'm sorry you're in that situation. Colin in Ballarat, good morning.
Hello. David and Virginia, thank you very much for the show. There's two parts to this question, David. You might not be able to answer it because it happened in another state. Queensland. A baby is born. At the birth, the mother is put on the birth certificate and the person who is not the father is put on the birth certificate.
Yes.
The father and his partner take the child and raise the child.
Yep.
The child has now, through Ancestry DNA, found his biological mother and father.
Yep.
Yes.
Can he have his birth certificate changed?
Yes, he can.
Can.
Yeah, there will be processes by birth-assisted marriages in Queensland, but you'll need to actually provide evidence of paternity, and I'm not sure what their standard of proof is.
Right. And also, would there be any repercussions for the mother or the person who was put on the birth certificate who
Well,
took
certainly
the baby?
none. Certainly none for the person who was named.
Right.
There may be for the mother, but you can't prove fraud. There's no evidence, I imagine, that this was that she knew the advice to be wrong. But normally when you're bringing claims of this kind, you're looking for some compensation, and the way you described it, there doesn't appear to be any loss. So I think you've got nowhere to go. Just fix the birth certificate.
No, there was no compensation required.
You just want to change the certificate.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. And when you say evidence will be required, and clearly the evidence can't be a birth certificate, it's going to have to be DNA, is it?
It would be DNA testing to establish.
And who looks at that? Who do you hand that on to?
Again, you ask what you're doing is you go to Birth Sets and Marriages, which maintains the records.
Yep.
And you're saying there's an error on the birth certificate. Here's the error. This is how I know it's the error. I want an amended birth certificate.
And someone in Birth, Deaths and Marriages will analyse a DNA report.
There will be a DNA report that says the probability of paternity is 99.97.
Yeah.
And the answer will be yes.
No,
ultimately.
my questions go to the skill level of the staff at Birth, Deaths and Marriages to analyse a DNA report and to make an adjudication.
There's an executive summary, Virginia.
Yeah. Still.
You don't have to read it line by line.
Still, they're not scientists looking at it, but okay. Do they have a percentage cut-off, right? I mean, do birth testimony just say, sorry, that's not acceptable? Because it goes to this, right?
Okay, yes. But I can't imagine that you'll get a DNA report that says there's a 50-50 chance. I have
no idea. I've never seen one.
Okay.
Hence the questions. Julie in Frankston, good morning. Julie in Frankston, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hello, good morning. I administer a Facebook page for people who like go camping, and on that the members organise get-togethers. It's Australia wide. They organise get-togethers using the event facility of the Facebook page. I'm just wondering if. And I mean, I don't organise it. I'm just wondering if I have any legal liability or insurance liability if something were to happen on one of those events.
There was a newspaper, somebody took some newspapers to task over material that was placed on the Facebook pages that they used to promote their mastheads, and they were found by the courts to be liable for what people had contributed for not getting the stuff that was defamatory off fast enough. All right. So, yes, you do have a potential liability as the administrator of a Facebook page for what your contributors put on.
Okay, so
you might have to moderate it with a bit more aggression.
Oh no, there's never any issue. I'm just worried if there was an accident somewhere, whether I could be.
You would not be responsible for the accident at the campsite. You would be responsible if somebody said something that was defamatory or otherwise illegal on the website.
It's about the injury or
no. You've got none of those problems.
So go in peace, but do make sure there's no defamations on the website, because there have been examples of people being sued for exactly that. Tanya in Sandringham, go right ahead.
Hello, David. Hello, Virginia. How are you?
We're well. Go ahead.
Good. I'm ringing to ask. I have a will that was done many years, or not many years ago, maybe 5-10 years ago, in my married name. Everything in the will is fine, but I'm thinking about reverting back to my maiden name.
Did you make a provision in the will for the person you're no longer married to?
No, nothing. It's all for my...
Or for your side of the family,
daughter.
As it were.
For my daughter, really.
The answer is no, you do not need... There are issues if you'd made a provision for your partner, but in the way you've described it, no.
Oh, lovely.
So you don't need to change your will. It's an extra paragraph in the affidavit of the executor in a probate application.
Okay, and that's easily done.
It's easily done.
Okay, there you go. So nothing to worry about, Tanya. Thank you so much. Kevin in Geelong. Kevin, what's going on?
Hi, Virginia. Hi, David.
Hi.
I have a property in private estate in Geelong. It has a body corporate and owner's corp. Geelong offer a merge collection twice a year to take hard rubbish and also take away mattresses. I made a booking online on the City of Greater Geelong website. It was accepted. I was given a date, only to be told a few days before putting it out that the council weren't able to pick it up. And that was because the owners corporation had instructed the council not to do individual collections on the estate, and that they would do set dates for this.
Yes.
Had a lot of discussions with the council, very empathetic, and sort of question why am I paying rates directly to the council for my hard rubbish.
Kevin, how many units in the development?
It's not units. It's houses on a golf estate.
Okay.
So, City of Greater Geelong provide the hard rubbish collection and rubbish collection in the estate.
Yes.
And this is a service that they provide to 180,000 homes in Geelong. But for some reason, this
Not
estate,
yours.
the Owners Corporation, has ordered them not to do it. So I don't really see that I'm getting a benefit from my council rates.
Oh, there's
But
lots of
regardless
people in that category.
Regardless of that, the council have said, look, it'd be worthwhile that we get the Owners Corp to write them a letter. They're happy to pick them up individually. And there's another Owners Corp on an extension of the estate, which they have the same setup as
So
the
you
rest
have
of
your
Geelong.
own
So,
street frontage, don't you, Kevin?
Yes.
The problem
have my own
you've got,
street
Kevin, is that you don't own the street. Now, if you were to live outside an owners corporation like the one you've described, the council would own the street and you would have an abutting frontage. Because of the way you've described your estate, my view is that the owners corporation will own the roadworks that are internal to the subdivision, and they're entitled to say, no, don't put it on my property. You just need to, your pressure needs to be at the owners corporation level, not the council level.
Okay. And so
That's it.
That's it?
Yep.
All right. Let's see if we can shove in one more before we get to talking about finance. Matt in Preston, not Matt Preston, but Matt in Preston.
It's Matt,
is on the line.
Preston, as opposed to Matt Preston.
Matt, go ahead.
Thanks. Thanks. So, Dave, we've got a right of way at the back of our property. Obviously runs down to the other street, past a number of properties. We got a letter from the council about 4 years ago.
When you say a right of way, you actually mean an old lane, cobblestone lane or something, is it?
Correct. That's exactly right.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone's done their own thing down the laneway as well. So you can't drive from one end to the other or even see or walk. People have done their own boundary fences,
yes,
etc. Got a letter from the council about 4 years ago with an expression of interest on if we'd like to purchase an allotment of land at the back of our property.
Yep.
We said yes. We put the boundaries out there, spoke to the neighbours, and they said, yep, we'll just go halves. Couple of weeks later, we got a letter from the solicitors that the council had engaged. They said, here's the parcel of land, here's the price, fees, etc. And we're like, yep, we're happy with that. And at this time, our back fence came down. So we thought, well, we'll just push it out
We'll
into
put
the
it in the
laneway.
new place. Yep.
We'll put it in the new place.
Yes.
That was all fine. And now we need that on our title
Have
for
you
other
paid,
reasons.
Matt?
No, we haven't paid.
Okay, all right. But have you got a contract?
No contract, just the letter from the solicitors saying here's the parcel.
The fact that it's only taken 4 years doesn't surprise me. These particular, because if you what I want you to do is think, Virginia, of a strip of perhaps 15 houses long, times 3 metres wide, and everybody wants half. So you end up with these tiny little titles. So that will be Matt's issue, and it may well be that the council needs everybody on board before they'll do a thing, Matt. So I would be talking to your councillor, because what they don't want to do is end up with a little bit of land in the middle that nobody wants.
Yeah, listen, I've spoken to the solicitor, I've spoken to the council. He said, listen, it's too hard because we're at the very top, so it's easy for us to purchase it. Because it won't
Matt, can I tell you, you've got no rights for adverse possession against the council, which will own the right of way. So what you need to do is, if the council will tell you which neighbours are saying no, and then work from there.
All right, good luck, and we hope that goes well. Nice to see you, David. See you next week. David Whiting there, always answering your questions.